Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us in today's webinar, wherein we would be going ahead and speaking more on to the branding and marketing of enterprises. And to begin with, this particular platform, we are extremely honored to be a part of OCF, and I'll give you a brief introduction of OCF. OCF is a one-stop solution for every entrepreneur. An entrepreneur who just has an idea and is breeding with an idea in the mind to get it to a financially viable model. OCF helps and facilitates all the entrepreneurs to make their dreams a reality, to find to finding the right VC or angel investor to help mentoring the idea to become a financial viable business plan, making it from a small idea to a bigger enterprise. So OCF plays a vital role in shaping up the dreams. And I take this opportunity to welcome Mrs. Kavita Panda, who carries 25 years of experience in revenue and growth as a business leader, who specializes in working with Disney and her many more accolades with Star India and Lintus. I also take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Surajit Guha, who is a behavior change communications professional carrying 23 years of experience in top advertising agencies in India and abroad. That goes from Nestle, Dell, Toyota, and UNICEF. Thank you. I now take this opportunity to welcome Mrs. Kavita Panda to speak a bit of her professional and about herself and take this webinar further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bibudash. Really a pleasure to host the seminar today, webinar today, along with my colleague Surajit Guha. We have two facilitators for this group, and that is purely because of the fact that I bring in the business and the marketing side of the understanding, and Surajit has got a creative side of the side insight into this meeting. And it is very rare that the two of us actually connect and agree on things. So it's a lot of our hard work, fights, everything that has gone in this presentation. Please take a look at it. And it has been, the perspectives have been very clearly corroborated from both of us. So each of the insight, each of the presentation, each thing that we are talking about is something that resonates with marketing and business, and it resonates with creative as well. So very simple. It is a perspective that is across business, marketing, as well as creative. And that is what we bring to the table, which is why there are two facilitators. Both of us together put to you, give you about half a century of experience. And that is what we are very proud to share with you going forward. The next slide, please. Today's session is very simple. We are going to talk about what you are doing. Only when the brands talk about what they are actually doing, are they seen as real, being authentic, and therefore can resonate with the consumers. Right now, you know that there are so much of things that are happening around real news, fake news, real brands, fake brands, everything. You don't even know which information is real and which is not. And in that place, imagine you have to also think about a brand being real or not real. And the consumer is getting smarter by the day. Like David Ogilvy said, consumer is your wife. And right now, to be making it gender neutral, the consumer is your spouse. If your consumer is your spouse and is getting smarter, don't you think that you have to be real and authentic at all points in time, which means only talk about what you're doing? Finally, brand and marketing is just boils down to this: being authentic, only talk about what you truly, really believe in, what you are doing on ground. Only that, if you talk about it, your brand, you will actually create a name for yourself. You will create a brand for yourself. So starting with a brand that I'm very, very familiar with, a brand that has managed to stay on course on this authentic mindset for longest period of time across the businesses. I mean, Disney is something that I have spent 15 years with, and it has multiple stakeholders, multiple people, and a very large organization across different divisions. How can it stay real and so rooted into its reality and authenticity at all points in time? It's very, very difficult, but it starts from the most basic things. They call each and every person who works in that organization a cast member. So while I'm a cast member, the new CEO, Bob Chapek, is also a cast member, and he addresses every time that he sends us our quarterly investor reports, he addresses it as dear fellow cast member. And somebody who is cleaning up the Disney theme parks is also a cast member. And everyone is our guest. So with that mindset, across these various facets of organization, I will walk you through two of these organizations, two large organizations, something that you may be quite familiar with, parks and resorts and studio entertainment, wherein this authenticity is maintained and how it is maintained. Because in Disney, we believe that everything that we do is special entertainment with art. Special is the way we do it. Entertainment is the business we are in, and heart is there in everything that we do. Now, moving on to the next slide, wherein we are committed to deliver this Disney brand promise through every aspect of the business. Moving on to the Disney theme parks. I'm sure there are a few in this group who would have gone to a Disney theme park. And the most important thing there is Mickey Mouse. When you ask any cast member, how many Mickey Mouse is there in Disneyland? He will, any cast member will reply, there is only one Mickey Mouse. Well, in the whole wide world. Why? Because of the fact that they want to make your experience feel unique. If you are getting to meet Mickey, it is going to be a unique experience. It is once in a lifetime experience, and hence, because there is only one Mickey in the world. Imagine that. And therefore, in the background, every employee or every cast member ensures that till the eyes can see, only there is one Mickey that you can see at any point in time, anywhere. So obviously in a large park, theme park, which runs into multiple acres of land, there will have to be different cast members playing Mickey. But till the point in times that eyes can see, there will be only one Mickey, because of the fact that each guest needs to feel special with one Mickey that they have the opportunity and have had the fortune to meet that day. That is the way it becomes special and magical. The next one, it's a very simple thing. Do you notice anything unique about what all these people are pointing towards? It's they're pointing with two fingers. They're not pointing with one, because according to people in some cultures, pointing with one finger is rude. And of course, you do not want to make anyone in the happiest place on the earth to be feeling rude. Therefore, they point with two fingers. Such a simple idea, and everyone is trained to do this, starting from the person who is a security guard, or somebody who is a cast member who is actually cleaning up, or somebody who is actually announcer in the show. Everyone points with two fingers. And the last one, this is unparalleled experience that you get in Disneyland. Just one show, which is the Lion King show, it happens, there are 50 cast members who take part in the show. 50 cast members with 139 costumes in being used in the show. 139 costumes across 50 people means 3 changes of clothes in during the show on an average. That is what gives you the magical, beautiful, seamless experience. And of course, all of them have to be practiced. It is a 45-minute show wherein, on an average, each person has to undergo 3 changes of clothes. Can you imagine how what a spectacular feat that is, and to do this day after day, year after year in the Disneyland park? That is what makes it magical. And from this magical experience, I come to the most basic storytelling that we try and come to. The fact that the place is every place in that theme park is clean. There's a small story that is attached to it. There was this guy who actually fought with his family before entering the Disneyland park. And to showcase his anger, he was having a bowl of peanuts with him. What he did was, while eating the peanuts, he threw away the peanut shells on the floor. And literally, a cast member cleaner had to shadow the little boy, and clean up behind him. Nobody admonished that person. Nobody said that you are doing wrong, because ultimately, this is the happiest place on the earth. The child has to be a child. They can do whatever they want. But he quietly cleaned up every time after the person. And after an hour, this child himself realized that what he was doing was incorrect and quietly amended his ways. Incidentally, that person grew up to be an author and recalls this Disneyland experience to be one of his life-changing moments. And this cleaning up is not only a cast member who's assigned the job of a cleaner. It is not that. Every cast member is responsible for keeping the place clean, including the people who are ensuring, because they are role models. Each and every child, somebody is a role model here. The Princess Cinderella is a role model for some girl child. There is somebody who's a role model here, and if they clean up, the children would also imbibe those values and keep the place clean. And this is what makes the Disneyland magical. Here is yet another business that I would be, and therefore it makes it special entertainment with heart. How they do it, what Disney does, and the underlying value in everything that we do. Another uh, uh, another business line that I would like to talk to you about is Coco, is the studio business. In the studio business, the Disney Pixar studio is something that is extremely popular. It has taken away an Oscar each time it's released a movie. And Disney Pixar Coco was released in 2016, if I'm not wrong, and it is also a Oscar winner. But it was a movie about the dead. If it was a movie about the dead, and Disney, because it's a Disney Pixar movie, they had to make it special entertainment with heart. What did they do? They gave skeletons, because you had to have skeletons. So first thing that they did was to ensure that they gave eyes, human eyes, these people by giving them eyes. And once they gave them eyes, they also tried to or again give them dresses, clothes, so that they could humanize them better and the kids will be less scared. But unfortunately, they had to be skeletons who had to be wearing clothes. And in the CGI that Disney Pixar teams were working on, there was a collision that was happening wherein the skeletons were not reacting well to the clothes, and there were creases that were coming through. And you know what Disney Pixar did? They revamped their entire software. The entire CGI software was upgraded. And it just took them 3 years to do it. That's how, that's the detailing to which they are obsessed about consumer centricity, about the fact that it is not, they had to make the skeletons look more hard, more real, more less fearful. They had to do what they were doing, and they had to do it the right way, which is what is so special again with the Disney Studios. Another Another one that you can hear of is the 2019 movie of Lion King, and in this movie, there was AR, augmented reality, visual reality, and live camera action being used parallelly to make the movie. Um, it was a fantastic movie, and we have all seen it. But the story is not about the Lion King movie, but also about the fact that how Lion King movie in India became such a huge sensation. It was a fantastic movie to begin with, but over and above that, the obsession of quality that we in India also ensured that the movie could have. We actually ensured that the Mufasa and Simba, the father and son duo, were voiced by the one most powerful father and son duo in our Bollywood language, which is the Shah Rukh Khan and Aryan Khan. So they came together to voice The Lion King. This was 15 years after they had voiced on Cars, the movie, which was again a Disney Pixar movie. But they came together for this. And when this was announced, it was announced during the final of the IPL, when both Shah Rukh Khan and Aryan Khan were wearing the T-shirts of Mufasa and Simba respectively, and immediately thereafter which was in May, and the movie released in June. It did fantastically well in the Bollywood box office. That is what we are talking about in terms of obsession of ensuring that Disney is special entertainment with heart, ensuring that the way we do it is special. It has to be entertaining at all points and times, and it has to have an underlying value of heart in everything that they do, which is why are able to maintain their authenticity with everything. No wonder that Disney is the top 10 brands in the 2019 Global Brand Survey rankings, and it is the only entertainment brand in the top 10 global interbrand global brands rankings. Of course, the valuation is an obscene value, but that is what it has been able to drive with its consistent messaging on authenticity. Over to you, Surajit.
Thank you, Kavita. Thank you for the fantastic case study about Disney about doing. Good evening, everybody. I want to reiterate that whatever we are sharing it is also very less academic. It's all about doing, because both Kavita and me are practicing marketing professionals. She is hardcore into marketing. I am hardcore into creating marketing assets for various brands across channels. So right now, whatever we are sharing is we are practicing on a daily basis. So whether you are a large business or you are a startup business, one thing one must be clear, that whatever we are sharing, we have been very conscious that it will be applicable for your business. Like you said, you saw that Sony became such a large business, how they are committed to the act of doing in their marketing. I will give you one small example. The question may ask, if I have a small brand, if I have just one activity to do, if I have one poster to make, if I have one digital campaign to run, can I reflect that sentiment of doing in marketing? So let me share a very interesting example. I will take you from the land of Paris, the land of Disneyland, to the land of cars. Land of cars is Gulf. If I'm sure if somebody has joined from the Middle East, or if you must have been to there, you've seen what fantastic cars they have in their country. The world's best looking cars are there for a very, very long time. They have fantastic road. So what it has done as such, it has made their consumer very much aware of automotive as an industry. There you cannot sell a car just on mileage, because oil is cheaper, much cheaper. You cannot sell it just on color or just on style. The consumers ask you very, very tough questions. And also remember, apart from Dubai, all the GCC countries, English is not their first language. like in many other countries. So whenever a new concept in automobile is introduced, they have to ensure that it is understood across people, especially Arabic speaking people, the business people. Let's talk about the dealers who will bring in a technology and transport it, communicate it to their fellow customers, the fellow dealers. So one such great example I had share for the brand called Chevrolet. Is a brand they have just left India, but it still is one of the great brand. Chevrolet was bringing in ABS, which is anti-braking system, as a standard feature in all cars in the Middle East. So that was what they were bringing in. What they were doing at every country, they were calling all the business audience, the dealers, the distributors, the top influencers, were mostly Arabic speaking people, to explain that what is ABS, anti-braking system. Unlike English language, the nuances of Arabic culture and language is a little different. If you say translate anti-braking system in Arabic, it will mean a brake that does not brake. That means your car don't have brake. And that if that communication goes to your audience, nobody is touching your car with an ABS. So that was the challenge. And secondly, the entire technical jargon of ABS was at its place, but they wanted the distributor, by experiencing something so simply, so that they can explain the concept of ABS to even maybe a 5-year, 10-year, or a 12-year, or 18-year-old kid who has just learned to drive. Now, what is ABS? Anti-braking system. That means when you apply brake, if this is your car, if you apply brake, it holds, it leaves, it holds, it leaves. What it does, it did not let the car sleep at high speeds or skid when you apply the brake. I'm sure a lot of you must be driving a car today with ABS. Now it's very common. Think around say 10, 15 years back. So what we did in a major dealer conference, we called a great number of dealers who are generally called to a big 5-star hotel to come and have a good time. As they entered the big conventional hall, imagine these are non-COVID days, big conventional hall, instead of carpet, that on the floor they had plastered a lot of this. What is this? A lot of banana peel on the carpet. Just imagine you are entering a hotel room for a convention and see there are banana peel is everywhere for you to look at. So what do? You become very careful. You avoid them and you go and negotiate and sit on your seat. So what happened? This act of negotiating ensures that you don't skid. And that is the one simple message they wanted to give. With an ABS, your car won't skid. So instead of giving big technical gyan, all they did is created a experience like this and a press campaign like this that said Chevrolet safety, because safety should never be an optional feature. So my point is, in marketing and advertising, just talking is not enough anymore. You got to get into the act of doing. By let their dealers, business audience do that act of walking on a floor which was got banana peel. They ingrained that concept of anti-skid technology in their mind. Simple, but it remembers them with very clearly, and it was then for them to explain it to their respective uh, customers, business audience. And after we did that, we got this huge request from them that can we do it in smaller towns where they can call the fellow small car dealers to experience the same thing. So that was the power of doing. So whether it's a very large business like Sony, or if you are a business, you're thinking of doing one small marketing or digital campaign tomorrow, if you put that filter, does my marketing has an act of doing, you will see that the believability of people are increasing a lot. And these days, if you can do something, act of doing and then talk, you are more likely to talk to people who will believe in your talking. That is one. The act of talking, doing is also is done very well if your brand look beyond just profit. Today, if you talk about Gen Zs who are going to be the big customers in days to come, they are in lot of surveys what they are saying that they prefer a brand with a purpose, the brand who looks beyond profit, a brand that has a goal, a brand that has a cause that they support. And the cause is only about doing. You can get into a cause only if you do an act of doing. Just talking won't be make you a part of doing. So let me quickly, so when we, for example, if you're a brand of any kind of brand, and if you want to devise a marketing campaign, digital campaign, Instagram campaign, FB campaign, if you are thinking of a cause marketing, there are a few simple parameters that you should keep in mind, so that with the filters to choose the campaign that you are choosing, it will be effective or not. First, whatever is your brand, there has to be a interesting brand connect of with your business. You cannot pick up any brand, any activity just because it is looking fancy and make it look like somebody else is doing. Maybe for you that activity may look fancy, but it may not be as effective. So very important thing to remember is to brand connect. Second, you have to always be separate from competition. Competition se hatke. Third, word of mouth, we all know. Third, we are all doing it because we want everybody to come and participate in our brand, right? Otherwise, these are all again talking. Fourth, relevant. If you're anything, if you're talking which is dated, nobody is going to be part of that. Here is one great part. You're here, your marketing is all about doing. Whatever you are doing is your marketing. But why are we doing all this? This is not for academic to pass an exam. We are doing it to make our business grow. So whatever cause marketing activity that we want to take it on, unless it contributes to your business growth, then everything is academic. And here we are not discussing academic assignments. We are going to do real business case studies. So let me share you an interesting business case study, which by act of doing, it really did wonders for the brand. It's already 4:30. It is the time that a lot of us will have chai. So we can't have chai right now. So let's have virtual chai. So I will share a interesting talk of a brand. That brand in the 2007 is it's the month of winter. Well, everybody is kind of a cozying up into blanket. This brand was sweating because it's a larger opposition will outspending it in talking. It's outspending it in just do plain talking marketing. So what this brand did, this brand believed, let me pick up a cause, let me do something which will make me not only wake me up, it also wake the entire audience and take notice. Here I'll play you a first film, how the entire journey started. Enjoy.
आइए सर आइए सर
नमस्कार।
अरे सर को नमस्कार करो।
मैं आपका वोट मांगने आया हूँ।
अरे आइए ना सर, बैठिए। रामू काका, सर के लिए भी एक चाय है। अच्छा सर, वैसे मतलब आपका
भंवरलाल भंडारी।
और क्वालिफिकेशन?
क्वालिफिकेशन?
चलिए छोड़िए, अपना वर्क एक्सपीरियंस बताइए।
25 साल से हैं इस लाइन में।
सर वर्क एक्सपीरियंस मतलब कंस्ट्रक्शन, वाटर वर्क्स, इंजीनियरिंग।
अच्छा, हमारा इंटरव्यू ले रहे हो क्या?
सर इतनी बड़ी जॉब के लिए अप्लाई किया आपने?
कौन सा जॉब?
देश को चलाने का जॉब सर। खैर चाय लीजिए।
हर सुबह सिर्फ उठो मत, टाटा टी।
Right. So they, for the fantastic brand connect, when you have a cup of tea, you actually get up. So they tick the first one. They had a very quick and perfect brand connect. It was distinct from the competition. My competition was talking about my tea is good, my tea is flavorful. They said have a tea that wakes you up. It generates a lot of word mouth. At this point of time, this brand could have stopped here and thought, okay, I've done my campaign. But in this thing, there was the doing part was still not featured. So what the brand did, the Jaguar campaign was not about a TVC campaign. The Jaguar campaign was basically was this. They wanted people to do something. What they wanted people to do, have a look at the film and you will understand.
अरे बस आप सो क्यों रहे? हेलो मैम.
हेलो हेलो
आप सो क्यों रही हैं? आप चाय पीजिए. हैं? चाय पी के तो जग जाएंगे.
आपका प्रॉब्लम क्या है? व्हाट्स द प्रॉब्लम?
अरे ये भी सो रहे हैं. आप सो रहे हैं सर? आप सो रहे हैं? इन्हें भी चाय पिलाओ प्लीज सर. अरे देखिए भी सो रहे हैं. पॉपकॉर्न के साथ चाय.
क्या चाय लगा रखा है यार?
आज छुट्टी का दिन है, हम लोग
पिक्चर देखने आए. सबको चाय पिलाओ. वेक अप टाइम. वेक अप टाइम.
आई एम नॉट स्लीपिंग, ओके?
इलेक्शन के दिन अगर आप वोट नहीं कर रहे हो तो आप सो रहे हो, और आप सोओगे तो ये देश कैसे जागेगा? चाय मैम.
हर सुबह सिर्फ उठो मत. टाटा टी.
Right. So here the brand said something the consumer to do, that you please come out and vote. But is it enough? It is, to me, it is still a lecture. You're telling somebody else to do something. As a brand, what are you doing about it? So the brand went ahead and did another step. This brand wanted people to part of this Jaguar campaign. They wanted people to register for 1 billion votes. That means they put their neck out there, and they wanted to register so many voters so that they will come out and vote. On a campaign level, on a TVC level, it's very easy to say, but the brand did not stop there. It went ahead, and on the ground, it created massive infrastructure of volunteers, digital tool, reaching out to people in person, and so that everybody very easily they can know how to register if you are not registered on the voter list, how to register if they are facing a problem. They went ahead and start helping people. So when I'm saying doing is the marketing, now the brand is not lecturing you. The brand itself is start telling people how to do something. And as you say, like me and Kavita, I was talking that we work together. So this is one of the email that Kavita got after she registered with this Jaguar thing, that this is thank you for filling the registration form. Here is the nearest place where you can go and vote for yourself. Here is what all needs to be done. And once she did it, she was got calls from the respective people to come and see that if you are facing any problem. Right at this point of time, because it was addressed to Kavita, let me ask Kavita, how was your experience? This brand is reaching out to you.
It was fantastic, Surajit, because what happened was I wasn't a registered voter till then. And it gave me an opportunity to actually register as a voter, sitting in my own house, doing it over an email, and was guiding me how to do the process. That is when the Jaguar campaign actually resonated with me. And till date, I promise you, till date, and I can show you my kitchen right now, I am a Tata Tea Gold consumer.
That's so. So, ladies and gentlemen, you saw that the difference when you actually committed to doing this, payoffs are much longer than one-time buy or one-time offer. Those can be matched by anybody, but once you find the right brand voice, what you want to do, the payoffs are way more larger. So let's move ahead. This brand, that is a fantastic thing. But with the act of doing, it's also required that you have to stay relevant. For example, previously when we were students, just operating a PowerPoint may be good enough. But right now, a guy coming out of digital, he's a digital native. He even know how to edit videos, how to put it, how to run a blog. So for me as a brand to reach out to him, I have to be relevant to him as well as a larger audience. So again, for the Jaguar campaign to stay relevant, they have to reach out to everybody, and doing that not by once breaking myths and opening new doors. Did the brand were able to being relevant? Have a look at the film and decide for yourself.
लो भाई आ गए।
नमस्ते बाबूजी।
नमस्ते।
चलो भाई मिलता हूँ।
हो गया घूमना?
घूमना? अरे हम तो जाग के आ रहे हैं मेरी जान, वोट डालकर।
लगता है थोड़ा जागना बाकी है। मैं चाय लाती हूँ।
बाकी मतलब इतनी बड़ी ड्यूटी पूरी करके आ रहे हैं।
बड़ी ड्यूटी?
हाँ।
चलो बड़ी पत्ती वाली चाय बनाती हूँ।
बड़ी पत्ती? और ये
छोटी पत्ती, वो छोटी ड्यूटी पूरी करने पर।
कौन सी छोटी ड्यूटी?
एक बाइक पर 3 लोग, ट्रैफिक रूल्स, छोटी ड्यूटी कब निभाओगे मिस्टर?
समझ गया मैडम।
टाटा टी प्रीमियम, बड़ी पत्ती की खुशबू के साथ छोटी पत्ती का दम।
छोटी बड़ी मिलकर ही पूरी होती है, वो टी हो या ड्यूटी।
So what a beautifully they brought in a product concept of big leaf and small leaf into the concepts, because just lecturing is not enough on a macro level. When I was taking brand connect, you saw one great example of how as if this entire campaign could have been done only for a tea brand. Choti Patti and Badi Patti, they brought the brand connect. So nothing is just talking. At every part of your campaign, at every, whether it's a digital campaign or offline campaign, you have to ensure that your brand connect and relevancy is important. Having said that, you have to just being relevant to the product is not good enough. As a brand, you have to go ahead and see that can you catch the attention of a larger or niche audience, because right now with micro targeting, it is very much possible the amount of social listening we are doing through your devices. There are campaigns can be targeted to very small niche segments, and the future of branding and marketing is not shouting at the rooftop for everybody. There will be campaigns, if it is targeted to me, it only I will see, and Kavita will never see throughout her entire life, because it's not designed for her, or other way around, and it is happening to us right now. So this campaign also took care of that. After making people aware to register, they also want them to do one more thing, so that people realize that the voter, being on the voter list is also a great sense of power, but you should be aware of the power to exercise it. Again, exercise is an act of doing, it is not marketing. See how the brand connect to that part as well in the next phase.
वेरी कूल शो। क्या है मैडम?
पेपर स्प्रे। कोई तुम्हारे साथ फनी बिहेव करे ना, स्ट्रेट इन द आईज।
We all need one nowadays, huh?
तुम्हें भी अपनी सेफ्टी के लिए कुछ करना चाहिए।
हम काला टीका लगाते हैं।
काला टीका?
Like वो बुरी नजर टाइप। Superstitions, yeah, that's very sad.
काला टीका लगाने से कुछ नहीं होने वाला।
Education problem, guys. छोड़ो ना। Actually, मैडम, educated लोगों को भी लगाना चाहिए काला टीका।
Oh really?
Excuse me. वोट किसी ऐसे नेता को दो जो हमारी सेफ्टी के लिए कुछ करे, सबके लिए चाहे।
हम औरतें 49% वोटर्स हैं। अपने मुद्दों के लिए वोट करो, 49 के पावर के लिए वोट करो। टाटा टी गोल्ड।
I am sure a lot of you would have seen this campaign of Power of 49, one of the most effective marketing campaign that had happened in last decade or so. Here also you see they made a niche. They found that let me connect with this one niche, and if I can kind of rejuvenate them to make an act and I doing, it will reflect good part of it. And as I was playing the film right now, also the line that he says, pick up somebody who can solve your problems, such a relevant statement for any brand. People through their brand and their marketing message are not looking for entertainment. They are looking for brands who can give them practical daily solutions.
Sorry to interrupt, Surajit, but
Please,
also it addressed one more concern. The fact that always in any election, men were higher voter percentage than women. So it was also solving that grassroots problem.
Right. That was true for a good number of states in India. Right. Totally agree with Kavita. So what happened when they were doing this campaign? It was not only necessarily to one kind of marketing audience. As they say, we have an India, we have a Bharat. When they were planning this campaign, they want to reach out to women to this both universe, the India universe and the Bharat universe, because both are they practically live in two different worlds. To do that, they reached out across all mediums possible. They used the soap operas, they used the daily soaps, they used TVCs, they used influencers, they used celebrities, because they were doing all that to get the attention of the political class. But it is not very easy if your consumer is a political class, and if you want them to do something, it is not very easy to move. So such the act of doing, they went ahead and tried to move the political class. Did they were aware to, were they successful in talking that? Let's see what happened when this campaign rolled on. How did it make people to do something out of the action? See the film.
The political class had to take action. We decided to strike at the roots, the Indian general elections.
Politicians have forgotten the 49% of the voter base that is female.
We launched the Power of 49 with the ambition of getting 100 million women of India to cast an informed vote. But how? For the campaign to be successful, we had to target two classes of women voters. Research showed us that Indian television had a major role in shaping society. Indian women consider real-life women protagonists on TV as their alter egos and emulate them. We brought together the largest television networks of India on one platform to mobilize this cause. We identified TV soap stars as key influencers for the women of Bharat and news anchors and social commentators as influencers of women of India.
Women are 49% of the voting population in this country, with the power to make or break the government. The power of 49. When women vote, women win.
Using the power of television, we integrated empowerment stories into India's most popular soaps.
मुझे मिस्ड कॉल दीजिए, अपने मुद्दे बताइए, उन पर उम्मीदवार चर्चा करें ताकि आप सही उम्मीदवार को पावर में ला सकें।
This inspired women to table their issues.
मेरा मुद्दा है कानून। मैं ये चाहती हूँ रिजर्वेशन खत्म होना चाहिए।
And drove a critical political debate in news with women issues experts. The campaign also received unprecedented support from high-profile Bollywood stars. We brought 1.2 million real women together to build the world's first ever crowdsourced political manifesto.
Given by you, the Indian woman, we now have a women's manifesto which we are presenting to political parties across the country.
We presented this manifesto to some of India's most influential politicians. But we didn't stop there. We gave the women one final push to make their journey up till the ballot box.
Every woman needs to go out and vote. If you don't vote, you don't have the right to complain.
So for all the women out there, empower yourself, go there and vote.
सिर्फ बहू नहीं, बहुमत बनिए.
Right. So you saw that what a mass mobilization of doing was happening from every angle. From Jagore as a plain simple tagline, it became an act for everybody. So what happened after that? It is very good to see all this. But what was the outcome? This campaign reached out to so many million people. The voter intention went up by 300%. And the third one is very interesting. 8 lakh real issues out of 543, 504 constituencies was actually represented. That's where the real meaning of Jagore starts hunting on the ground. And like with India, it was the world's first crowdsourced manifesto submitted. And perhaps till now it's the only one. Women issues got captured in all political manifestos. So they were demanding, as they were demanding action, they were making the political class take notice to do action. That's what happens when you combine your act of doing with the word of mouth. As it said, sirf bahumat nahi, bahumat baniye. When your act, when your doing picks up a large voice, it becomes somebody, your consumers also start believing in that. But as I was saying, all that is great. but it was done by a commercial tea brand. What happened to that tea brand after doing all that? Because if there is no business growth, it's only talk. So let's see what happened. Javare.com traffic got increased by 20%. Tata Tea Gold got preference by 50%. This is like Kavita was saying, still in a row, Tata Gold is the tea. So you have achieved brand loyalty, as I was talking before. And here is the real cake. The Tata Tea Gold category went to 2x growth category. Market share went up by 10 basis points. And they saw 13.4% increase in sale. That is the business growth that we were talking. So when your marketing is getting to the act of doing, it also does wonders to the sales figure for which every business entity has responsible for. This is what has happened. So as I was doing a case study on that, and I was wondering that I'm talking on Odisha Foundation, I'm Kochi. How was this campaign? Was it in Odisha? Was there any example from Odisha? Unfortunately, I found this film. I would love to see this film. Please mute everybody else. Thank you.
মা আসি গলা মঝিরে গলা না উইকেটটা এবে এই বলরে বিরাট যদি 6 মারি দেলা না তো মা রাଣ ইয়াকু সপ্তাহে ছুঁইবিনি
ଏଇ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷର ମୂଲ୍ୟ ତୋ ପାଇଁ ବେଶୀ ନା ତ ରାଣ ବି ଆଙ୍କର ଖା ମା ରାଣ ଖାନା
ଜଗେଇବାରେ କିଏ ଅଛି ତାଠୁ ବଳିକି ସେଇ ମାକୁ ପ୍ରଣାମ କରେ ଟାଟା ଟି ପ୍ରିମିୟମ।
ସ୍କୋର କେତେ?
Another fantastic example of how the brand is setting the precedent right. That she's a woman, she runs the house, she understands cricket. Also, she won't take any nonsense. Kavita, would you like to add anything on this film? I'm not sure if you have seen it or not.
No, it's really very highly moving and very authentic to the cause that we are talking about. The fact and Mr. Mihir Sahu, we have seen your question. We will address it at the end of the session. Thank you for your patience. But it's a fantastic campaign, and it just talks about the women issues in India. The fact that you have to respect your mother, you have to respect the female gender.
Right. And as I was saying, the act of doing is gender agnostic, geographic agnostic, cultural agnostic. So if your brand can pick up the right marketing message with a doing inbuilt, you're going to actually multiply it in various places. So just to sum up, what we were talking about, the cause marketing is about brand loyalty, about word of mouth, about distinction in competition, about brand connect, about relevancy, about business growth, and always about doing is equal to marketing. So that was a live example that you saw of how brand and marketing can pick up the act of doing before the act of talking. But it is not only about big brands. What is coming up is a very, very interesting example that Kavita will take you through, that can only brand do it or can somebody else also do it? Over to you, Kavita.
Well, just can you think about a brand or a personality that actually changed themselves not by acting but by doing? Can you get a personality? I mean, it would be great if somebody throws up any names here. Yes, they have changed the brand perception by doing and not by acting. Anybody? I don't see any answers.
Kejriwal.
Very good. Any
Arvind
other?
Kejriwal.
Yes, got that. Thank you. Anybody else? Amitabh Bachchan was always a very, very, he didn't change his perception. He was always in a very, very high.
Milind Suman walking.
Okay.
Yep.
Again, like Amitabh Bachchan and Tata are icons by themselves. They always had a very strong brand loyalty, very high aspiration levels from the consumers. I'm talking about somebody who was really down in the dumps and has transformed himself by actually doing.
Correct. Sonu Sood.
That's quite close, but he again, I
was
don't
never
think he
down
had
in
a
the dumps.
negative platform. Yeah, he didn't have a negative imagery to begin with. Again, Medha Patkar and Anna Hazare are fantastic names. They always had a positive imagery. Nobody
Modi
had
was from
any
negative
doubt about their high. I'm talking about this gentleman. Thank you so much for all these answers, but I'm talking about this gentleman who you probably would not have guessed of. But Salman to being human to being Bhaijan. Have you? I'm sure you guys have heard about what a brash kid Salman was. And from there, what he actually did was to start being human and transformed his imagery to being a Bhaijan to everyone in the industry. A quick journey of I mean, I'm sure we have all forgotten what he started out being. Way back in 1990s, when he started off with his first movie, Maine Pyar Kiya, he was a very popular movie artist. But along with that and the multiple other successes that he got, he had the worst repertoire or reputation in the industry. He was not a reputed person. He never came to sets on time. He had this Black Buck and Chinkara poaching case against him. He had a hit and run case of the drunken driving. His personal relationship crisis was making news. Everything against him was black, and he was really down in the dumps and making his, I mean, if anybody could transform, anybody needed a transformation, it was him. Soon during this black phase of his career, he also started giving terrible movies. He started doing terrible movies as well. Movies started to flop, and everything that what the golden boy was down in the dumps and down to dust. And then what happened? He actually launched something called Being Human. Being Human was the Mumbai-based charity that was providing healthcare and education to the needy. It was an organization that was run by Salman Khan Foundation. Between him and his entire family members, he invested crores and crores of his money into Being Human, which was a very well-established organization, an NGO that actually ensured that they were taking care of schools in Mumbai. They were taking care of underprivileged children, giving them education, giving them food. Anybody who had a challenge in not meeting funds, he was closely associated with Tata Memorial Hospital to ensure that the surgeries were done free of cost. He was very closely related with multiple surgeries for lip correction facilities. And he was making news for all the right reasons. Being Human suddenly became Salman Khan's only news during that time. His entire personality type changed, and in 2010 he became the Big Boss host. It was as if that he underwent a total personality change. If you know, I mean, Salman Khan is probably the only Bollywood hero who you can see is very, very authentic. He's bad, no doubts about it. Of course, he had the hate and drunk driving. Yes, the court cases being covered every time he made the court experience. But at the same time, he himself made fun of that entire moment in Big Boss, saying that, you know what, when I lived in that 4x4 jail cell, I realized my mistakes. And when he could laugh at that himself, suddenly people were realizing how authentic and real he was. And because he was authentic and real, you could relate to him. You could relate to the fact that personality की गलतियां हर किसी से होती हैं. अब now let's go move forward and go ahead and forgive him for that. And suddenly look at the transformation that he has had even in his film career. The biggest, probably one of the biggest hits that came in 2015 was Bajrangi Bhaijaan, again promoting India-Pakistan. It was a lovely story promoting India and Pakistan, the friendship between India and Pakistan, and such a simplistic character. And you could relate to Salman Khan in that movie. Sultan again was a fantastic movie. All his movies have from then on been extremely real, authentic, relatable to him, and that was speaking out in his career as well. It was, I'm not putting out any movies in 2020 and 2021, obviously, because it has been an unprecedented crisis with COVID, but and therefore it's not a fair benchmark. But please understand, during this time, Being Human has actually, I mean, while we know about Sonu Sood, but at the same time, he has managed to do a lot of good work with Being Human. And during this COVID crisis, he has organized for food, definitely also helped in getting people to going back into their homes. And that is his transformation from Chinkara to Ghoda right now. That is what he is being sold. Realme Pro 5, I don't know who you are, but yeah, he is all that. There is plastic makeover. I'm not very sure. There is definitely a real organization with Being Human, which has definitely undertaken a lot of good work across Mumbai. Incidentally, he is one of the few people who has done a lot of good work for the Bollywood industry, especially not for the top-notch artists, but the people the apprentices, freelancers, the camera workers, the background dancers. If he has done work for them, yes, he deserves the glory. I'm not saying that you can do bad things and make money to do it right. Definitely not. But the fact is, he has also undergone the transformation. Please, it is not about money to get him right. He himself has also undergone the transformation of being a lot more mindful, a lot more real. Definitely, today you wouldn't find him drunk and driving in the streets of Mumbai.
Right. Kavita, can I add something here?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So for the audience here, if you are a brand owner, see, this presentation is for you. If you are a brand owner, if you run a business, it is not for academic discussion. So let's keep that in mind. So if you're a brand owner, what is for you in this example, right? In our brand journey, a lot of time we slip up, sometimes because of lack of knowledge, sometimes because of lack of fund, sometimes because of lack of vision, sometimes because of lack of correct advice. Anything can happen. And right now, with the rapidly changing scenario, it can happen with any brand. You will see that big brands fall from grace with slighted mistake, and they have only one. They have to do a course correction. They have to act something. So this example is bringing you that whatever your brand journey has been, if you don't find it satisfactory, if you think that you need to do a course correction, here is a great example. From a very negative perception, you can turn around things. All you have to do is think bit, partner with right kind of people who can advise you correctly, so that from here onwards, what's done is done. Here onwards, you bring in consumer, your target audience into your fold. That's the point I want to add.
I think what you said was absolutely right. Everyone gets a chance at redemption, and all it matters is people who act on it. You're absolutely right. Salman Khan chose to act on it. And that is exactly what we are trying to show here in terms of an example here. He is doing good. He is chosen to act on it. He's chosen to be to reform himself, and that is what
That
he
is
wants to do.
absolutely correct, Mrs. Panda. I would really appreciate everyone in the audience just to focus on the e-commerce and branding topic. We are not getting into the specific of somebody's personal life or public life. We are focusing here on branding. Thank you.
Great point. I truly believe that. Thank you, Mr. Das. Kavita, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. But it is also about being interactive, and that is why we would like to ask, please go ahead and ask all your questions.
At the Q&A.
It is, and yes, we
Yeah,
can.
if the presentation is over, we have certain questions so that we can discuss.
No, we have one more case study to go to.
Please finish it up. Please finish it up. Thank you.
And now I hand over the baton back to Surajit for his next.
Thank you. So, dear audience, what you were seeing currently, examples where Kavita had personally worked on a brand. For example, she has worked on Sony. I have worked on that Chevrolet campaign that you saw. Then you saw a campaign where Kavita was a target audience. You saw that mail. Then you saw an example of cause marketing where I mentioned that thing. Here you saw another example that we brought from a very different universe as an observer. So what we are trying to do here is to bring in case studies from very, very different universes, because your brand, your business could be from different genres. It could be a tech business, it could be a B2B business, it could be a B2C business, but this act of doing is a universal tool that can be applied for everybody, including big brand, private, and as well as a public organization also. This happened. This is another case study in which I was personally involved as a brand advisor. It was Delhi Police. Here, last year, almost the same time, the phase 1 COVID has just started. We are seeing this mass migration of people leaving Delhi, and there is shops are being closed, supply lines are not streamlined, people are not getting food. That is the massive web that everybody is seeing. And because I used to consult Delhi police, we had a discussion one day that as a police force, what can we do apart from just managing law and order? Because anyway, that has to do. So I was wondering, I was saying that what are your brand currently says? This is my brand is Shanti, Seva and Nyay. Now, if you really see, all these 3 words are all about act. These are not talk. Seva, service. Service is only can happen when you act. Justice can only happen if you dispense justice. And same with peace. Unless you act on a situation, the peace cannot happen. I said, okay, you have these 3 basic tenets. So if you want to raise out to people, forget about saying something. Tell me what else can you do? What access you have? Can you pick up some more responsibility? Can you see beyond your uniform and look at as a human part, as a part? As we were discussing, one of the discussions, somebody from the police force said a line, was very, very informed guy. He was saying, yeah, at this point of time, इंसानियत की duty है सबसे जरूरी. So whatever we are doing, this act to serve this humanity is because the kind of grief we are seeing around us was unprecedented. And when that happened, as we were talking about, we found out that at the time of crisis, the people of uniform were always ready to pick up a new responsibility. But again, responsibility happens to be an act of working. You can just talk responsibility. So when we went into that, and the 2 of the crises that we saw, the first where people need to be provided food, because food was not available to a lot of people. So they went ahead and started one journey that was around helping people to have food. So because they had access as a law and order, they can move anywhere, so they can quickly went ahead, access ration. People the police force were started small community kitchen so that people from nearby areas, they can come and cook. And the moment when your police force is not there to discipline you, is there to dish out needy food, your entire perception becomes something else. So as that happened, we rolled out the first activation, and then this film happened. Have a look at the film.
इंसानियत की ड्यूटी है सबसे जरूरी, वर्दी निभा रही है फिर एक नई जिम्मेदारी, शांति, सेवा, न्याय और दिल से जीतेंगे ये जंग। दिल्ली पुलिस, दिल की पुलिस।
If you were at that point of time in Delhi, you would have seen part of the campaign, and I have seen, because I was traveling with these police force across Delhi to see the kind of effort they were making. It was tremendous effort by a limited police force who don't have expertise in such kind of thing. Second thing, what happened that after this thing, we quickly realized that to protect ourselves, so we need masks. Now it is becoming everyday life. So they went ahead and started that as the next initiative. And one of the great stories there, people, police women from their home, they brought in sewing machine to start sewing masks, because in a police station you don't expect to them have a sewing machine as a thing. So here we are, our next from their next effort, we made another film.
इंसानियत की ड्यूटी है सबसे जरूरी, वर्दी निभा रही है फिर एक नई जिम्मेदारी, शांति, सेवा, न्याय और दिल से जीतेंगे ये जंग। दिल्ली पुलिस, दिल की पुलिस।
And as we started this campaign, and because of their handle, they have got 690,000 organic views. Lot of other community volunteers, they quickly understood that at this point of time, the priority was to provide food and support them with, if mask is possible. And their effort was supported by, multiplied by so many people, that it was such great heartening to see. So again, for a brand, what is the lesson for you? That if you pick up a cause, doing with right honesty, with earnest, and where there is a brand connect, what you will find a great support from the earned media, from the user base, so that you don't have to spend tons of media money to make your brand heard. As long as your act of doing is right, you will find great support for your brand. With that, our case studies comes to an end. Now we can go for a Q&A session. Either we can ask the on the voice, or you can chat, and maybe a moderator can just tell me the questions that it's for you, for me.
Mr. Guha, I'll start with the question of Mr. Mihir Kumar Sahu. I'll come to you, Mr. Senapati, but please unmute and then I'll take up your question. Thank you. Mr. Mihir Kumar Sahu has asked that are there any viable low-cost branding ideas which are suitable for Odisha economic condition or affordability by startups in specific?
Okay. The question that you have asked is actually not a very specific question. It's a very generic question. The answer to the generic question is yes. The cost comes, for example, take the example, this Delhi Police film idea. It was very, very low cost. It was produced in 2 days' time with very, very less cost. So yes, the cost can be done. Idea is, what are you trying to do with that? Because if your price is your only filter, then you might get a cheap answer, but that not necessarily is going to solve your problem. For specifically Odisha crisis, for example, all of you have heard about NDRF, right? The National Disaster Relief Force. A gentleman who heads it he is from Odisha, Mr. Pradhan. Odisha as a state is known now all over the world for the excellent disaster cyclone management that state has done. Even Japan has taken the advice of NDRF and SDRF as a brand to tell them how to do it. So look around yourself. There are enough Odisha stories there. I am an Odisha boy. I am born in Odia. My permanent house is still in Odisha. I see a lot of Odisha stories around us. The idea is to identify the Odisha story that is connected to you and talk about it. Price nowadays, if you can figuring out how to do it, price can be managed very well.
And if I can just add to this, Surajit, I think what is most important is to get your product right. And your product has to have a definitive solution for the audience. If it is one of your Me Too products or if it is anything else, then it will not have any resonance. And then आप जितना भी पैसा खर्च कर लो, ब्रांड कर लो, मार्केटिंग कर लो, वो काम नहीं करने वाली क्योंकि वो प्रोडक्ट रेलेवेंट नहीं है. I'm just going to give you probably this is not Odisha centric. This is another brand that I came across yesterday actually. A brand called Calm. CALM. Please go ahead and read about it. It has actually got 140 it's an app. It has got 140 different ways to get you to fall asleep, which in today's day and world is right now with all the COVID crisis that everyone is going through is a very, very important application. It has been trending in the App Store as one of the highest applications that have been downloaded. And you know what they did? When Naomi Osaka, which is happened day before, like last week, when she went down and said that because of mental health crisis, I'm not going to participate in press conference. They used that plank and they have announced, Naomi Osaka was fined by the tennis association. They said that whatever is the fine that Naomi Osaka has to pay, plus $15,000, they will pay to the mental health organizations to propagate knowledge about mental health. Now, it's a very small brand. It's a growing startup. It's launched last year. But look at how smart that they have captured a burning issue and capitalized on it. It's not about the money. It is about first the product being relevant and being second in the relevant product. If it is top of mind, if there is a captive audience talking about something that is related and solving for your product, go ahead and capitalize on it. उसमें फिर पैसे की it is invaluable.
Well, can I supplement to my question, please?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
For NDRF and all these things, some of those are government-sponsored things, and they will always get attention with a political motive also. But the thing is, I'm citing few examples of Odisha startups. Like we have a prodigal inventor. He has invented 4 or 5 products already, and he has taken some equities from somewhere, and he's showcasing. He's probably producing a battery mobile charger within 60 seconds. That will be the fastest charger. He is also a OCF member, but he's struggling. He's not able to market himself. He has already got 5 President's Awards, and he is only 23 years old. He's a prodigal child. And, why to talk of advertisement? With all these laurels, he's not able to sell his product. Now he has talked to Reliance, and Reliance, they're having a talk with Jio also. Probably Jio will buy it out, but he cannot establish himself as a brand. He'll be a part of, he's selling a kind of selling of the brand to Jio. So then he'll loses his identity. And is there any viable idea or a channel by which a poor but meritorious man his product is definitely relevant. Otherwise, how Reliance is having a talk with him. So is there any channel, by which such kind of stories are, it can be escalated? And I have also tried with many funding agencies, but again, they are saying you have to hit numbers. At least your turnover has to be 5 crore or something like that, then we'll invest. So now he's not able to inch ahead.
Right. Kavita, you want to answer that?
The fact that he has been able to sell his idea to Reliance Jio itself is a big achievement.
No,
I don't think that is
right.
big. Just allow me to finish. I think he has established his brand identity, and next time when he is, I hear your concerns. I'm not saying that world is fair. It is not. But the fact that if it is because the strength of his product, he has been able to sell or authenticate or at least get Reliance's attention and will be meritoriously rewarded. The person who made the Nike swoosh logo got $100 for its efforts. But today it's being recognized as the most authentic logo that has possibly been created. That doesn't mean that you don't hear about him. He has not lost his brand identity. I don't remember his name, unfortunately, but the fact that he was paid only $100 for making that swoosh logo and calling the brand Nike. Suraj?
Yeah, one practical thing, I think rejection is part of being a part of the business. So you have to take that in. Secondly, what is required this gentleman is ask him to do Google search. What he needs to know is how to pitch his ideas to right kind of investors. There is something called impact investing universe is available in the world. Every country has it, right? That day I was talking to a few impact investors. So they invest in the impact sector as well. So for that, he needs to pick a credible winning pitch. That is his next level. Just inventing a product nowadays is not enough. You have to also know whom to talk, that's who's a buyer. It's like, for example, if I don't like bananas and even the best banana sold to me, I won't buy it. Right. So nowadays you have to go ahead and because of this post-COVID, a lot of pitches are happening online. You have to, it's hard work, but if you can pitch your product right to anybody, for example, Belgium, Netherlands, I'm just giving you a few countries who are heavily investing in technology, right? They are looking for ideas from across the world.
Great.
You have to make a good pitch. If that answers part of your question, I wish him all the best.
Thank you.
It's again a luck, when it hits somebody.
Sir, guaranteed success तो सिर्फ guaranteed success तो सर चाय बनाने में नहीं है. चाय भी ठीक नहीं बनती हर बार. So in a business, all of it we are working. For example, I have 2 failed startups already after 15 years in advertising business. So I should have been guaranteed success because I know all so-called all the rules of marketing. My last 2 startup has been failed after raising 3 rounds of investment. So what do? I stop or I get in the next one. So you have to keep trying. There is no alternative. Again, what we are saying is act of doing. There is no escape from that.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we have a question from the audience. Mr. Vipin Kumar Tullo, co-founder of EdProcess India, and his product name is My Theta, an app for school. How to drive this to the market? Schools are our only clients. How to make brand value? How much investment is needed?
Okay, Kavita, you want to start?
Yes. Hi. The biggest thing is that it cannot be answered in this forum, very frankly. What one needs to understand is what is your how is your product different. I would recommend that after this Q&A slide, there is an email ID that will lead you to connect with us. And if there is no clear answers, like I said, we will have to go deep into what your product does. There is a lot more information that we would need. How is it unique? And then figure out what is the best way to market the product. I'm sorry, the information is not enough for us to give you a concrete solution. Surajit?
Yeah. I would answer it 2 ways. Your last part of the question was how much investment is required. What you're asking question is basically mapping your investment planning for next 3-4 years. It's a very, very specialized, very specialized area in which you will find consultants whose only job is this. The first part, it is for school. My first startup was an edutech startup which failed. So while talking to, I at least spoke to close to 600-700 schools and colleges across India. So I have a question back for you. What do you think schools are most interested in?
I think our product is regarding the communication, like live classes. Nowadays, I think school are focusing on the live classes, online teaching, everything, but they are doing in a separate way. In WhatsApp chats, they are making the WhatsApp group, which is not organized organize.
I'll repeat my question.
Yeah.
What is the most important motive of a school?
Teaching.
And to see
and nowadays,
there, let me answer it. To just to type constraint, to see there, most of their student passed with maximum mark. You can counter if you don't believe in that. That is the ultimate goal of any school. You go to a college, this is the bitter truth that I have. Any college, their ultimate, any professional college, their ultimate goal is to place their students. Everything else comes after that. Everything else. So your product, it could be a communication product, but unless in some way it tailors the needs that I said, you have some work to do. Just communication, just like won't cut an ice. At least at the pitch stage, if you're, for example, if you're coming to me for a funding pitch, because I must have participated almost 200 funding pitches myself and must have got rejected in 180 or so. So in the funding pitch, a generic idea which doesn't solve either, this is very important, either your problem does not solve a small part of a big problem or a new problem, you are not going to fly in the tech world. That is, this I am speaking from my own experience, because the product that I have built and they have worked or not worked.
Thank you. Thank you. And Vipin, I would really appreciate post the presentation, post this meeting, you will be provided with the emails of the respected facilitators, and you can get connected with them. Thank you. Now I'll be taking up the question from Mr. Bikesh Chaudhary. When we talk about niche products, we target a selected group of people, but targeting selected group of demographic can lead to higher CTRs in social media campaigns. How do you tackle this?
As long as it is relevant and telling you, giving you, connecting you with the right audiences, the higher CTR should be paid. Simple. If you are talking about, it's like I am going to actually scatter 100 seeds and hope that one of them will bloom. Or should I just plant one seed and hope and ensure that one plant will bloom? So if you're paying, I mean, the effort will be very different for 100 sowing 100 seeds vis-a-vis taking care of that one seed. The objective is that there is a lot of wastage in one and there is very sharp targeted marketing in one. I would any day think that it is far better to invest in that one seed, or at least make it into 3 seeds so that you get returns therein. Surajit, if you have anything else to add.
To start with, thinking that I will not spend anything to market myself, to me that is not the right premise, because anything that you are building, an app or a business, the basic of it is commerce. A commercial transaction got to happen, then only it will fly. Similarly, when you are planning a social media campaign, don't rush to design a post or go to people who can only design a post. For example, Jagore campaign or the Chevrolet campaign, right? The idea that you saw, maybe that was the 10th or 11th idea that was what it is happening every day on the space. Spend more time that is your planning or execution solving whatever you have to got to solve. And for that, you have to ask really, really sharp questions. Because it's not that I want to do, like she said, a lot of seeds. Pick up one small problem and solve. For example, let me give you in any other way. When we were in last year, we created almost 100 hours of content, me and Kavita together, for various audiences. We were very sure that our presentations were not more than 60 minutes. 60 means 60, not 59. Doesn't matter if I am putting up my best case studies or not, or how long I am saying. So we just kept one cap, because we found out that 60 minutes is too much time for a lot of people. So the moment we had that cap, Then we divided, okay, in 60 minutes, we will speak 20 minutes, she will speak 20 minutes, I will speak 10 minutes, we will keep for question hours, and we'll keep 10 minutes as a buffer. So we have to crunch everything in 20 minutes, but we want to deliver quality. So we just solved one thing, which is we want to solve the time problem. Similarly, when you are building a social media campaign, try to solve one thing, just one. And that will give you much better results than trying to solve too many problems.
Thank you. Mr. Senapati, please go ahead with your question.
So I'll like to take 1 minute of screen time just to introduce my product and myself and everything, if you don't mind.
Can we? Are we done with all the question answers?
No, not yet.
So let's. I think there will be a fair chance for everybody to ask their questions.
Yes, because we will like Mr. Senapati to then come back at the end so that we can. Otherwise, there will be tech issues.
How are we doing time-wise? We had kept 1.5 hours. I think we are just 4 minutes short of 1.5 hours.
Absolutely.
I'll just take half a minute or 1 minute maybe.
I think let's answer a couple of questions first.
Mr. Senapati, thank you for your understanding. I'll take Mr. Prithis Ranjan's question. What the best way to do marketing in international markets for a small company to do? I would give this opportunity to Mr. Guha to answer this.
Right. As I said, I had worked in total maybe 4 very different markets. Everywhere the rule applies more. The more evolved market that you are going there, go there with maximum clarity, because people will ask you very, very, very pointed and tough questions. And if your campaign is just generic, it will not cut ice with anybody. I recommend you to go and see a campaign called Go Back to Africa. It is basically kind of a slang that was used across white dominated countries to tell people of color, black and brown, mostly black people, that why are you in my country, go back to Africa. One smart travel company picked that slang, go back to Africa, harnessed that hashtag, removed all the obscenities and profanities with it, created an algorithm, and start sending mail to all affluent black people who are outside Africa to tell them that come and visit Africa, it's a beautiful place. And that campaign is one of the hallmark campaign in last few years. So you saw they picked up one small insight and executed in across markets. Same thing happened with Poland, and there are more examples.
I also have to just add to what you were saying, Surajit. I think the local context is very, very relevant. Please be aware of the cultural context of that market. And I'm sure you would have all heard about the very, very famous Coca-Cola campaign, which happened. I don't know whether it actually happened or it's a meme or it was fake news. But the fact that there is somebody walking in the desert, drinks a Coca-Cola and is rejuvenated. And in fact, they read from right to left and not from left to right. So a regular worldwide campaign would go from left to right, whereas in Middle East, they read from right to left, which means a person was refreshed, drank Coca-Cola, and then was lying dead in the desert. So that is reacting to the local context. I would recommend that be cultural and local context needs to be very importantly reviewed for that market, because what could be slang in one market could be actually a very good word in that market. Example.
Right. Totally
Thank
agree.
you.
I think again, you should go and look out all the examples around the internet. You will, if you connect, great. But let me tell you, you won't find ready-made examples on the internet. Your brand have a very, very specific issue, and you might have to connect with people who can give you sane advice. That's important.
I will now take the question of Mr. Umakant Sahu. What would you like to advise to rural producers for branding their products at this juncture of the pandemic?
Wow.
Mr. Guha, please.
Yes,
take this question.
This is my favorite area, rural and small town, right? Because I come from a small town. I have grown up in Rourkela, and the Rourkela as a setup looks like ahead of its time. but I do a lot of my work in the rural sector communication. Let me give you a very good example. I was marketing one stove, wooden stove, for UP, remote areas in UP, right? What does the stove does? What it does is basically reduces the amount of wood you need to fire it up. So what does that mean? That a woman of the house mostly who will step out to gather the wood either have to go half the time of to buy, mostly not buy, mostly gather it for it. And secondly, it reduces the suit of the suit, right? As we were doing this campaign, right, we were figuring it out that this campaign could be great, but will this woman be at all be interested, reached out? So in part of my survey when I was done, I was talking to one gentleman in a rural village in India. I said, this is the new chulha that I have, because all the mostly the financial decisions are made by male, and this is reduces this wood and all that. Will you buy it for your wife? He gave me a weird look and tells me, no, if I have got 1,000 rupees extra, I will buy the next better model of mobile phone. Imagine, I am all through thinking how to make the improve of the life of this woman, and the guy who is making a decision maker does not give a damn about that. Cause how do I reach? How do I break the ice? Then we create a totally new campaign in which influence that guy that how important it is for them to see it from a health point of view, right? Because if your wife is unwell, the male hair that she will produce, likely to produce, or female in that case mostly, might be a weakened child. So in our ITC, which is interpersonal communication, when the small skits that we used to do, instead of just saying how my brand is great, we used to do these small theaters and tell them that this is not just one piece of cooking item. It has a ramifications to have a healthier next generation.
Thank you.
So again, when you pick up a problem, don't just see that you're selling a product. You might be selling a product, but your target audience, for them, the solution needs to come out the way they want to come out.
And this is a classic example of us. I mean us, and I include me in the whole chain of things, about when we are designing this product sitting in Mumbai or in Delhi and not going down and finding out the deep insight for the product. If you don't have a product insight, you have no right to sell it. If it does not, I mean, he could have a fantastic product. It would take 25% of the good, लेकिन वो खरीदने कौन वाला है? क्योंकि उस बंदे को उसकी बीवी के ऊपर में कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है. Let her do चूल्हा यार, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? So you have to find that what is it, that one thing that matters to that man, that matters to the fact that उसकी नस्लें खराब हो जाएंगी. I'm a woman, I find this absolutely atrocious to accept. But having said that, if that is what helps me get the attention of the man, then you have to sell it to that person with that nuance.
And you are true to the product. You are not giving something false. You are actually saying that black soot is very, very harmful for the woman who is cooking on that. So you are actually being true to it. You are again a caution from me, and I can always say this from Kavita: don't try to bluff your customers. Today in the social media, you will be found out before you can even think of. So don't try that route. It's old. It is outdated. Forget about that route anymore.
Thank you, Mr. Goha and Ms. Kavita. I have a question from Mr. Prakash Naik. Whenever I go outside Odisha, people recognize broadly as land of plumbers. It takes a lot of time for me to erase the perception already built around us. Suggest me and those are in service industry how to reposition ODIs outside.
Kavita, after once you do, I will also would like to bring my perspective.
Let's rush this through.
Yep,
I have few other questions.
Okay,
we'll wrap up this session quickly.
Yeah, Kavita, please go ahead if you want.
No, I actually was plugging in my going to plug in my new organization here, because I just joined earlier this week actually, in an organization called ASEAN Business Partners. And we are actually taking up a similar mandate for a country like Indonesia. And last week itself, the entire Indonesian government, the foreign affairs minister, etc., were actually talking to investors in US, and 2 weeks before that in UK and Europe, to tell them about perceptions of Indonesia and how it is changing. They had to do it because of the fact that Indonesian labor laws, justice, everything is very black mark. But ASEAN Business Partners is helping them correct their positioning of Indonesia as an investment friendly market. This is one of the things that you can probably think of, but frankly, I do not think it's I mean, Odisha is a land of plumbers. I think it is a land of plumbers. um, all cooks and chefs come from here, as well as right now I think we are also making some moves in the IT industry.
Yes, of course. Thank you. I have a very technical question. It's open to both of you. Do you think with the advent of AI, sentiment analysis done by AI programming, natural language processing in digital marketing, and perception mapping being easy with big data and on the tip of the figures would make brand strategists out of the job in the next 10-15 years? The question is from Baba Mitra.
Okay. Kavita, may I?
ये तो आधे मेरे को समझ में भी नहीं आए.
So, Mr. Mitra, if you put these questions into an AI, the first thing is a little simplified, right? And the simplification will be sound something like this: that the number of professions that we have right now, 78% of them will vanish in next 20 years because those skills will be picked up by something else. And it is not happening only with advent of AI. A very, very great example that India faced, that in India, when the pager came, immediately after that, the mobile happened. So even before the pager could take off, it vanished overnight, right? So whether AI or not AI, new skills will be developed and needed to be learned. But what you always see, you ask the most guy who has spent most of the guys. I know one guy from Odisha. He was my co-worker in the WeWork used to, and he's from IIT Kharagpur. He's from Odisha. He runs an AI-driven program to find out that where there is a bigger oil table in different parts of India and the world, right? His AI program runs that and figuring it out. We previously done with different. So I've asked that, so what will happen? All the geologists and people who are skilled, all that, they will get vanished overnight. His questions to me that, very, very interesting answer, is that open Google and you want to know an answer. But to know that answer, you need to type in the right question. And what is the right question, Google may not tell you. So that human intelligence will always be there, because as we are learning with AI, which is basically massifications of lot of information together to throw out an insight. Similarly, human is also evolving how to work in alignment with that. So it is not happening anything immediately, but like in this thing, you have to learn new skills because old skills will be of less or almost no use in days to come.
Thank you.
And to add to what Surajit said, you have to unlearn to learn new things. You have to unlearn. And the other thing that is another saying that is very, very relevant here is that what got you here will not take you from here. So you have to unlearn and relearn new skill sets. That is a continuous thing. Today, I'm still a learner. Like I said, I didn't understand all the technology message things that you mentioned, and I'm learning off that and about that As long as I can Google it, I can learn it. But the fact is, remember, we used to learn even before Google existed.
Thank you so
Need
much.
teachers.
And one last question, Mr. Senapati, then you'll have the screen time. This is the last question, then you have the screen time. Thank you so much. The last question of the day that I'm taking on is, how can branding and revenue be correlated? One of the method is calculating brand equity before and after the campaign, but along that is too vague. Can you find out a direct correlation between branding and sales? Question is open to both of you.
Thank you. I would like to start off, and Surajit, I think will add on to it. There is again a very famous saying by, I think, Leo Burnett, which said, I am firing my advertising to 100 people, but I do not know. Half of them I know is going waste. I just do not know which half. Honestly, you are not able to, if you, there are progressions that are happening, you are getting to know more about your audience behaviors thanks to all the technologies that were being asked in the question previous to this, with augmented reality, with all the learning that we are doing, all the data mining that we are doing. We are able to understand the consumer better, deeper, and therefore understand the behavior that is likely to happen and staying in that consumer journey. So definitely there is progression, but can you say that you will get to a place wherein you can measure branding and response time totally? Definitely there is no right answer. There is absolutely no way you can do that. Having said that, they can move in the same progression. And branding today, the Jagore campaign happened 2012. I'm still a brand loyal consumer. So does that mean that the money that was spent then, and I haven't seen a Jagore campaign or a Tata Tea campaign for the last 3 years, at least, to the very least, because I don't watch TV anymore. So I'm still consuming Tata Tea, right? So it is the after effect of it has a latitude or a tail effect, tailwind, far beyond the campaign. Surajit,
Yeah. So such questions, I love such questions because it puts you back that how much effort you are ready to put. Let me put you an example. If you have 1,000 rupees and you want people to feed with that money, one way going about it is, I will spend 10 rupees per meal and I will feed 100 people. So once you figure out 10 rupees, then you figure it out also in 10 rupees, how well can you make a complete meal? So you put your money time in that. After doing that, you go out and find out that which 100 people you want to feed. So you go to them physically and you feed them. So the end of the day, your goal was to feed 1,000 people. 1,000 rupees, 100 people. So you have 100% achieved your goal. If you do your cost calculation here, it's just 1,000 rupees. Then you will start calculating the time you have spent to figuring it out how to create a perfect meal for 10 rupees, plus the time you will spend to look out for that 100 people, plus to reach out that 100 people, the traveling and logistics. Then you will arrive at a cost. So that is your exact revenue. Okay, I want to reach, and this is the money I have spent. So if you want to do that, great. Other way is to you go and find a partner who is doing this job day in and day out, right? Feeding people. You pay, you select him carefully, and you provide them the service fee that they want. And you said that, okay, again I want they will ask you how much per meal. You will say 10 rupees. You say, okay, I will do it in 10 rupees, but I can only feed you, say, they will say, so 100, I will feed you 85 people. Now you can say, but I am feeding 100 people in the same cost. But you're not spending that money, that revenue. You are actually spending much more money and time for that. So you have to choose. The more precisely you will define that what is your revenue expectations and how you are doing it, then you have to go about it and execute your campaign. So it is up to you which route you choose. You do everything yourself or you choose partners to do. Right now the trend says if you can choose your collaborators well, then your everything is better. The returns are better as well as impact is better.
Thank you. Thank you. Uh, Mr. Radhagovind, have you got the co-host access? Please unmute
Yes, sir.
yourself.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Please
sir.
share your screen.
Uh, uh, am
Go ahead.
I visible right
Yes,
now?
you are visible. Go ahead and share your screen right away.
No, I just have to just speak.
Oh, okay.
Like it's just me talking.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So basically, the name of my brand is On the Go. The tagline is Jump the Queue. It's on the go, jump the queue. It is an app. So it is an app for local stores and vendors for them to take the shops online. It is a pre-existing venture. It is nothing new. But what makes me different is it is a connected database, unlike others where we have got giants like My Store backed by Khata Book and showroom and different digital showroom, and which is they have just revamped the same feature that WhatsApp Business gives you already, and under a new tag name, under their brand name. That's it. It is a website based service where you can access a store's inventory and order. But I have taken it a level ahead. I have made an app where it can be seen as what if you have to search for Del Monte ketchup. All right. So how about you just go on Google Maps and search Del Monte ketchup? It shows you the store where it is available. That is on the go. That is one of the major features of my application. Just because it is a connected database, you can compare two different shops next to each other. You can see like inventory, access inventory, and order from them.
We hear you.
And
What is your question?
my question is, sir, I have like branding is fine. It is creativity. It is a creative approach. But marketing, for marketing, I have a really like I think it is amazing. Like an ad. The ad goes like there is a father who's cooking, and he asks his son or daughter, whatever,
What is
to
your
go
question?
procure.
Don't give me your advertising campaign. Ask me your question, please.
I'm saying, how do I approach like with the marketing part? How do I approach the right people? Like because I have talked to a few startup incubators, but they have dragged me down, saying that like the same reasons that you need traction. First, you need to prove yourself in the market. But it is not just an idea. Like I have actually developed the whole app using my whole funds and everything.
Yeah.
But
But
I have hit
that
the
is
dead
still,
end.
I hear you, Vibhu. Now, one is congratulations, you are trying to solve a problem. But just developing an app is not enough. For example, I write songs, for example, right? If I write a song here thinking that Shah Rukh Khan will sing on it, will he sing on it? No, right? So the first approach that I would take is stop taking assumptions. That is the first part of any marketing exercise. Now you told me your app is called On the Go and it jumps the queue. You're telling me
Yeah.
two things. Make your mind, is it jump the queue or on the go? Don't
No,
assume
it
that I
is
will understand both. See, when I'm an app store, I'm not. Does WhatsApp has another name?
WhatsApp as
Another name? The app is known by
no.
something else?
No, it's a WhatsApp Business. It's a feature of WhatsApp Business
No,
where you can
I'm just
make your own
asking you.
catalog.
Does WhatsApp, Zoom, Facebook have another name by which they are known? No, right? They are known by one name,
The
correct?
name of my company is On the Go. The tagline is Jump the Queue.
Who cares for your tagline?
Sir?
Who? Consumer does not care for any taglines, right?
Okay.
Consumers is here to solve the problem. So your first problem is to market your app, right?
Yeah.
And to market your app is what the investors are saying, that at least get user base, right? Correct? That's what they're saying, to get some
Yeah.
user base for your app. Tell me why have you made this app? For what?
So
For
I have
whom?
made this app.
For
There is
whom?
just one agenda. There is
For whom? You have made this app for whom?
for the like local vendors. Sir.
Users.
Mainly, it is for the local vendors, the
For
kirana
you.
stores.
Yeah, but it's a B2C app, right?
No, it can be a B2B and it can be a B2C as well.
If you have to do one, what will you choose?
I will choose B2C.
B2C. Now you have chosen even a difficult path. Now, and a B2C, you have chosen for what? Who are your primary? You want users, right? Correct?
Yeah.
So forget any branding, marketing, gyan, tagline, keep everything away.
Okay.
Just focus that how can you get 1 lakh users in whatever time, or 50,000 users or 20,000 users. Right now I'm consulting a similar brand who are doing similar thing in small town, right? Our entire focus is to map the user experience and nothing else. There is no tagline, there is no story, there is no gyan, just one thing. How can I see the user experience and solve? Which means, I'll tell you when I say user experience. Somebody dials on the app for a product. I take it to that person and they say that, no, I thought order, but I don't need it. But my entire force from vendor point, from my warehouse to the point has gone and wasted money. How do I solve that? Right? So at this point of time, your single focus will be to bring user on it. For that, what you have to study, that is your task. Rest all you don't need right now. Declutter your task. It's very important for branding.
Wonderful, sir. And Radha Govind Senapati, I would really appreciate with your question. Further clarifications and information is required. I guess the information was short, but we'll share all our panelist email address so that you can have a communication with them. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So
Thank you, Surajit, sir.
By this, we have come to the end of Q&A, and I really appreciate all the time and patience with our panelists and the audience. Lovely audience on a Sunday evening. Although I enjoyed my cup of tea, again the Tata Tea Gold, I would really appreciate everybody to enjoy the cup of tea. And thank you again. Any other questions? I would really appreciate to get in touch with the spokesperson from OCF so that we can address it.
Right.
Over to you, Bev.
Vibhu, thanks a lot for wonderful moderation of the program. Really appreciate.
Thank you, sir.
Our job is made half when we have a good moderator like you who takes charge of the forum. So thanks a lot for that. Over to you, Kavita.
Thank you so much. Really a pleasure speaking on this forum. Very, very happy to be here. And if there is any way we can contribute further in terms of sharing our knowledge, we would be very happy to do so. This is just something that is the tip of the iceberg. We had, like Surajit said, we have created a lot of content, almost 100 hours of content. We would, and it is on only real life experiences and observations that we have done. They could be right, they could be wrong, they could be controversial, including Mr. Salman Khan, but he definitely transformed himself and his objectivity. So everything is about what we have perceived in our lives. Thank you so much.
And one last point, you guys are very lucky as an entrepreneur to get access to such foundations. But why is when you are reaching out to any professional with individual advice, remember it will be a professional assignment. Start with that note, you will always find better result. But our hearts are in Odisha because I consider myself in Oria, so do that well. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Now I'll take the opportunity to give the forum to Dr. Ashok Das, who couldn't join us on time due to some internet connectivity issues. Dr. Das, there is a lot of noise coming from your end. I guess there's still some internet issues. So over to you, Behra sir. Please go ahead with the opportunity to end this webinar with a positive note. Dr. Das, still now the noise is coming. I guess there is a lot of bandwidth related issues.
Okay, fine.
Sir, now the
Better.
voice was clear. It was better. Please come in. Dr. Das.
Yeah. So it was a pleasure listening to both Kavita ma'am and Surjit sir. I think the learning value that we got from what Kavita ma'am has deliberated upon is specifically like this: consumer is your spouse. I was told that consumer is your wife, but she changed the rule. No, she said consumer is your spouse and is really getting smarter. I do agree with that. And probably the whole takeaway for all the audiences is that she really gave a lot of insight regarding how Disney is really trying to bring it up. That one specific example that she cited was really pretty much catching my attention, pointing with two fingers. That was something we never expected. That is probably something which is exclusively done by Disney people. That was great to listen to. And I was fascinated by Surjit Guha's deliberations on this ABS, a brake that doesn't break. That was ridiculously kind of topsy-turvy kind of way of understanding the whole things that people in another kind of a place, another kind of a country maybe might be understanding your whole campaign. And he also focused on one thing: the act of doing versus the act of talking. So those days are gone when the act of doing was really going to be ruling the roast. Probably you have to really go and do both, the act of talking as well as the act of doing. And what I really find interesting in all these deliberations was that everything was really told from a very practical viewpoint. There was a clear-cut kind of feeling that people are really talking from their own experiences, which is absolutely a pretty nice kind of experience on a Sunday evening. So I thank both the hosts like Kavita ma'am and Surjit sir, and also my co-moderator. And it was a really pleasure representing OCF on such a nice platform. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.